Okay, can I make like one parting crazy YOLO prediction? Trump wins the next election, gets chummy with Elon, then bans TikTok, and then people's heads actually explode.
Hell yeah, baby.
Hey, we live. Good policy, politics, culture.
Culture. This one's culture. Welcome to the Alfalfa podcast. Guys, we're back.
We're back, man.
This
Cheers.
is, yeah,
Welcome
this
back.
is cheers. This is a cheerser moment.
Got 3 glasses of wine, and what do you got there, Steven?
It's a Hefeweizen.
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 Are you going
Yeah.
off your track here? You recommended all these beers, and now you're going off?
It was the only beer I had in the fridge.
Rugging people.
We rugged his
I put a bunch of
last
Modelo's in
recording.
there for you.
They weren't cold yet, though.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah, my stomach already feels like I just ingested like a bale of hay or something. It's,
Absolutely nothing worse than a lukewarm Mexican beer. Like tastes like complete piss
it's
water.
bad.
That is.
I don't know how you guys drink like light beer. Like it's gross.
It's amazing once it's cool and refreshing, has a lime.
On a hot day. Yes.
Armand, can you pass over our gifted wine?
Oh yes,
Hell
we got a
yeah.
little Schiazzi.
This is the gift.
Yeah. Yes, this is from Dry Farms Wine.
all natural.
This was a gift from a great community member. Sent us a case of wine. And
Unbelievable.
Dry Farms Wine, if you're listening, return my fucking emails because we're trying to promote you. Jesus.
I saw some Aura Ring activity.
Yes,
Nice-
and I
nice
tweeted
little
at Aura Ring and 8 Sleep. Aura Ring did get back to me. Thank you, Aura. 8 Sleep, a little slow. People don't like money. What's going on?
Can Aura Ring do like wedding bands? Can I just like substitute that? Because
They should,
I'll
honestly.
do that.
That's a brilliant idea. actually.
Brilliant.
What are they thinking? It's a little thick. My wedding band is super, super thin on purpose so that I can do my pull-ups and
Yeah, that's
not like,
needed.
yeah. But this thing is thick. This is Gen 1.
I saw your reach out mechanism, Twitter, which
Yeah.
is you called out sponsors on Twitter, and
It's
it worked.
way better because they get publicly shamed if they don't,
true.
respond. And they weren't responding to an email. So,
That was your tee up for the lead-in.
yes, it was. But we got a review, guys.
Hell yeah.
Because a few episodes ago we asked for some and somebody fulfilled our request. Kyle2579 on Apple Podcasts, based in Canada.
Hell yeah, Kyle.
Yeah. If you aren't listening to this podcast, what are you doing? Seriously, though. So thank you, Kyle. I don't know if you're in our Discord, Kyle, but if you are, like, tag the host, tag me so we can thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Properly.
And everyone else, go to Apple Podcasts, leave a review, give us the 5 stars. You have to literally write the review for it to show up. And then same thing in Spotify. Would appreciate it. Helps a lot. All right, so we're talking culture today.
What's going on in culture?
Let's dive into it.
Yeah, Elon's on a rampage.
Elon's on fire.
Eric was telling me right before we started recording, there's some updates today.
There have been some updates. Yeah, he's been going at it with a lot of people, but most of them of a leftward bent, it seems. Yeah, but he started going at it with AOC too.
Well, let's get the full
recently.
scope of what happened. He acquired.
So first of all, he bought Twitter.
He bought Twitter.
He
Like,
did it.
nobody thought he was going to do that, right?
I
Like,
didn't think he was going to do it.
He got
I
back.
thought it was just a giant scam.
He got
to
backed
dump all
into
his
that,
Tesla
right?
stock.
Like,
My guy always shows up.
but
All
that,
right,
that
no.
price.
I thought the Justice Department was going to come in and save him and be like,
So that price that he agreed upon initially, like that's too high. Like I think he got
Way too
Irrelevant.
he got
doesn't
backed
care.
into that price. Like
He
he
doesn't
didn't want
care.
he did not want to settle on that price. Okay, so he bought it,
He bought it.
and it looks like he's doing things.
Yeah. Well, he's talking about doing things. He's firing people for sure.
That's
People-
doing
Definitely
things.
firing.
People are
people.
fired.
It's great. He's doing like Ari from
Paintball.
Paintball.
It's an
Gun.
amazing meme.
Oh yeah,
Amazing video.
so good. But I mean, he floated an idea. Was it last week about charging $20 for like a blue check and getting some bonuses from it? I think like you'd show up higher in replies and mentions.
it's now $8.
Yes, Stephen King was not happy
Oh,
about
he
it.
was
And he
not.
threatened to leave Twitter, and everybody was like, "No, what am I going to do?"
Without Stephen King's ideas.
Stephen King's like 30 IQ political takes on my Twitter feed. It's gonna be awful. But he responded to Stephen, and was talking to him.
He's responding to everybody.
And he's like, "How about
shocking.
$8?" I think he's like negotiating like he's in some like street fair in Asia or something. He's just haggling. he's haggling with the blue checks. But yeah, I'm curious what you guys think about it. Are you first off? Where do you want to start? Like, are you going to pay for the check?
Well, first of all, you have to have the check already. Is that how it
No.
works? Or you can receive a check?
You will receive the
I
check.
thought the check is for public figures.
No.
Yeah, it's for public figures and people who scam their way through some backroom deals and pay like $10,000
So
or
this is-
$20,000.
This is different.
get
This
the
is
check.
not like what the check used to be then, where you had to earn it. This is paying for the
Right.
check to be a verified user.
Yeah, this is just to be like a verified
I
human.
don't know. I'm not a fan of Twitter. That's the problem. But that's also before Elon. I think I could become a fan of Twitter if it goes in the
feel
right
like
direction.
you're already a fan now.
You like that?
I think Twitter is actually like an incredible.
It's like
product.
my favorite of all the platforms
Why?
because it has the most information that I can digest. Like I'm not digesting new info from Instagram. I'm like looking at like babes in bikinis. Like let's be honest.
Yeah, I can't get rid of them. Every time I avoid them, they keep coming back. The algorithm tests me. You sure? You sure you don't
It
want
does that.
You sure you don't want a couple more of these? You
I
know
know
what I'm talking
I
about?
have art, Formula One, some like Muay Thai, and then like every so often there's just like some half naked girl dancing
Oh,
around. Like,
Dude.
You
come
can't.
back,
You can't
and you're
click
like,
the
Dude,
search
you,
button.
do you know
can't
how
click
they
that.
tried to get me yesterday with promiscuous yoga reels? Straight up, like
Wow,
a girl
they
in
didn't
a
do very
pretzel
well.
in a promiscuous way.
Well,
it's
I-
like this is new.
I know that. I know that hit.
Don't touch it. Don't touch it.
I know that worked.
at least they like put it under the guise of yoga,
Yeah,
so you can feel good about
the
it.
page is clean.
We should do a thing in the Discord where everybody just takes a screenshot of their Instagram
There's like
suggested
discover. Yeah.
feed. It'd be pretty funny.
It is the ultimate
Yeah.
test.
Oh, we should each screenshot ours and just see like if people can get. I guess now they'll know.
who do
but
they
that'd be fun. That'd
who's
be a
this
fun game.
belong
But
to?
yeah, like who's?
I think it's
whose
pretty
suggested
obvious.
feed.
You mean like the Explorer?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
Explorer.
Explorer page
Yeah.
is
Explorer page,
amazing. Let's do
whatever.
that.
We should do that. It's a little
that's a good
revealing,
one.
but yeah.
You're gonna start clicking on shit just to warp the algorithm.
Okay, so back to the question. Like, maybe let's start a little bit higher level. Like, okay, so he bought Twitter. He showed up with a sink, and now he's cleaning house. He fired the CEO. He fired a bunch of
Did he
executives.
show up with the sink for that one
Just for the joke.
joke?
Yeah.
just
Let
that one
that-
tweet.
let
Yeah.
that
Let
sink
that
in.
sink in.
And there was like
That was it.
There was I forget it was an Atlantic reporter or some reporter was like, if you are the admin assistant who had to buy the sink just so Elon could put his sink joke today, please contact me immediately. Like they wanted like an expose of like Elon asking an assistant to get him a sink or something. But yeah, he did do that just for that joke, I think.
Yeah. All right. So, what do you guys think about all of this in general? Like, let's start high level and dig into it.
I mean, I'm happy Elon bought Twitter
Yeah.
because I think Twitter has been like captured by a bunch of people who I don't particularly like or agree with what they do. I'm a little iffy because it's just we're just giving the power to somebody else and it's very concentrated and it's a private company. So I have it's very tempting to be like super happy because your guy is like punching the other guy's guy in the face and everything and you're like, yeah, this is awesome, but you have to like worry about what you're maybe giving up to do that from a principles
Like
perspective.
the big problems that Twitter faced still persist. Like Elon is going to be faced with the big issues of like how to deal with this idea of like free speech versus the law. You know, like the law that protects free speech, but also like doesn't allow fully free speech. That's going to be a hard tightrope for him to walk.
Yeah, I want to touch on that a little later. But like just in general thoughts, entertainment value, 10 out of 10
Yeah,
for
it's
this.
been
Like
great.
It really is.
ROI value, like if I was I don't think I would like to invest alongside Elon in this deal, like just because the price he bought it at. I'm sure in 10 years could be proven wrong, but there is like a middling probability of failure, like of not being able to like achieve a good ROI on the enterprise value when it does eventually go public again sometime down the road. From a user standpoint, I'm kind of excited because like there's going to be changes, and I think from a user standpoint, it's going to improve. And then from
that's the key, though.
Yeah.
If
That
it
is the
improves from a user standpoint,
That is
that
the
is
key.
enough
well, I think it has to improve from the advertiser standpoint because I've advertised on Twitter before. It's dog shit. Like, I mean, it's one of the worst platforms to advertise on from a
was-
direct
it-
response.
it
Like, if you
was
need
the
an
worst,
ROI,
to clicks.
if you're
that
Coca-Cola,
convert.
it's probably fine. But like
Show
from
a
an
bunch of
advertising
bots to your
standpoint,
brand, yeah.
the UI,
So you're referring to like performance marketing.
if his business model is going to continue to be advertising, and it sounds like it's going to increasingly be users paying.
Well, it'd probably be both.
Yeah.
Because he did say he was still going to show ads to the people paying $8.
Right. So I don't know if I like it from a ROI standpoint, but yeah, I think users can be fun. There's gonna be new features. There's gonna be some progress. I'll
tell you right
we all
now-
get tagged in all this scam shit. So
Like
I can't wait for that. To
I
go
will
away.
immediately pay $8 to get verified because like before we had to like create this whole big following and become this person. Now I can pay $8. Like I'm just gonna do that.
I think that should have always been the model.
I
It's
already
great.
pay for
I already
Twitter
paid
Blue.
for Twitter Blue.
I
anyway,
pay for it
and-
too.
and
I got you on that.
I like it. I have no
great.
problem paying.
Oh, I don't know what
I
Twitter.
don't even think
It's
about
worth
$2 a
it.
month.
Just like the bookmarks feature alone.
Yes,
For
collections.
Me. It's
Okay.
like it's so
Okay.
great.
It's amazing.
I
I can
use-
literally go back and be like, oh, I want to find that tweet about Iran.
Wasn't that the way to
or
get your
whatever.
profile pic in a hexagon if you
That's why-
truly
that's what
owned
got
the
me-
profile pic?
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't done that yet.
And then I was like, I'm not connecting my MetaMask. to
Yeah, that's-
Yeah,
fucking
I
my
didn't
mobile
buy it. I
MetaMask
didn't
only.
get Twitter Blue for that
Okay.
because that wasn't cool anymore.
But yeah,
know?
you have to do.
Yeah, it was
that,
kind of
and-
cringy. Like
was
you,
not
you
cool.
own the CryptoPunk and you're like, you want to hexagon yourself? It was almost
Nah,
like even
circle.
worse.
Circle.
And then
Yeah.
from the tech perspective, I'm kind of split because like I would really like to see like a like a decentralized content that all these platforms use the same taxonomy for text, image, video, whatever. And as a user, you can take your content and like plug into different protocols. Maybe Lens is something like that. And if you go back and read some of the text messages from that lawsuit between Jack Dorsey and Elon, and Jack Dorsey's like, this it needs to be like a non-advertising decentralized protocol for this thing to really do well.
I did see that text, yeah.
And he said, and I think Elon was like, well, I think maybe we should try both. Like maybe you do that and I'll do this, or maybe Elon will try decentralized mode. But like, I don't think he's going to do that. I think he believes that the amount of speed, I don't think he understands it like to the level that Jack does. And he's more worried about like performance and speed and having everything on the blockchain, which is not necessary. But anyway, I still want to see that.
Do you believe that Dogecoin will be used to settle any transactions
think
on the platform?
90%.
I think he will.
90%.
If he's going to do something, he's going to allow that as an option.
Okay.
This is so bullish in general for crypto.
Yes,
I think.
it
I think
is.
it's mega bullish for crypto.
Very.
Not right now because crypto is dead, but at some point in the hopefully not too distant.
You guys are
future.
surprising me because I was like looking at this as like a clear short opportunity on Doge on this run up.
There's so many other things.
It's up 125% over the last 5 days.
This is we missed the buy. Like,
well, clearly we missed. It's up 100.
no, but I
the last
mean,
5 days.
like even now, I would buy like long term.
I just wouldn't touch it at all.
I would,
This is
I would look to acquire
this
it
is
during
like-
my bear market shopping list. For sure.
Interesting.
It has been on my bear
There's a
market
lot
shopping
shittier
list.
shit you can short. That's
You
that's
you
clear.
mentioned your list before. I mean,
Yeah,
your
yeah.
list is way better than shorting that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But
I think Doge is one of the better coins out there. To be honest,
anything
I think it's in,
anything
like,
that
my
goes
top
up that
five.
high that quickly, I'm looking
Agreed.
to short. So
I like your stance
irrespective
there.
of the long term.
Have any of you guys used WeChat before?
I did when I took that China trip to
Yeah.
talk to my suppliers.
And I think he's onto something. Like WeChat is a phenomenal app. Like,
yeah, can you
you-
explain it for most people because they have not used it?
I mean,
Well,
it
what's
is-
the context here? Is Elon looking to turn Twitter into a
That's
WeChat?
always
he's,
been his
he's mentioned
intention.
it multiple times.
The
about
app for everything.
app for
Wow.
everything.
Okay, so yeah, let's
And
talk
he
about
has
what
the user
WeChat-
base to do it.
Let's talk
And-
about what WeChat is. Like,
So I mean, you use WeChat to hail an Uber. You use WeChat to purchase everything. You use a WeChat
Food,
to do
Amazon.
video calls, text. I mean, you used it to purchase things. I mean, it is the central app in China, and you really can't. Like, if it went down in China, I think like basic services, like being able to take public transportation.
who
Yep.
owns is WeChat its own business? Like, who owns WeChat?
Is it Tencent or no?
I don't know.
Might be its own thing.
I'll have to look it up, but it's owned by one of the major
Okay.
Chinese tech companies.
So going back to what you said, yeah, it's the app for everything, and I think that everyone's looking at Twitter and its future through the lens of its history, and I think that's a mistake. What I mean by that is there's new blood. Twitter has done you have your sound on your phone,
on.
Grandpa.
Like, first of all,
what is
whoever
going
does
on?
that?
I mean, like my grandma. Like, what are you doing?
Hold on, let's unplug the landline real quick.
Is that a sign for a fax coming?
Don't make me
Is there a
start
fax coming,
dumping
Steven?
on you for tech stuff.
I'm the techno
Mr.
king,
I
first
don't
of all.
use Twitter.
Techno king. All right. So looking at this company, which has always been second best to Facebook and Twitter, Google and everything else.
Seventh best, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. I put it like literally like, and it's just in the second order, right? There's like the kings, and then this one has always just been second best to that realm of the superior social media apps and the tech companies. So it's done absolutely nothing for a decade. Absolutely nothing. I mean, I think I don't know what the
Share
stock price
price is
was.
flat,
Yeah,
roughly.
it's like terrible investment. That said, and also like I think Jack was bored. He put his attention. He's a starter. He's that entrepreneur. He wants to start the new thing. He's a big visionary, and he knew what he wanted to accomplish, but he's not the executor and operator long term to do that. So then this Parag or whatever comes in, and this guy I think did not do a great job overall, and
Did great for
not-
shareholders.
Fat
Yeah.
exit for the shareholders.
Yeah, true. But again, whose interests are most important? And that is debatable. Point being, when Elon showed up, I think this is going to be, there's the saying of never bet against Elon, right? There's a reason that we say that. I think he's going to innovate. I think that he's already exploring what he's going to do with Vine. I think that he brings like a cutthroat sort of mentality to the whole operation. This is what's happening. If you're not on board, get out of the way. That's the Tesla vibe. So I think that's going to be very good for Twitter, which has basically become almost like working for the government. Like some of these really big tech companies are so slow moving and so bloated that it's as if you're almost working for the government. That's how bad they are. This is going to change everything. And I'm bullish on it long term, even though I haven't been a big Twitter user or, lover. I could see myself falling in love with the platform.
I agree with you. Can I talk about where I'm bearish? Because I actually like largely agree with you. I'll just play a little devil's advocate. And I think like the part that gives me reluctance is this $8 verification thing. It's like, if I'm going to pay $8 to get verified, so is every bot and every scammer on earth. Like there's going to be like a 1,000 different David Hoffman, Trustless State 1, Trustless State 2 that are going to get a blue check mark right next to his for $8. Of course you're going to do it.
I don't think that's going to be the case. Like my understanding is that you're going to pay, but you still have to get verified. I don't know what that means. Like upload ID, like your face.
There's no way
There's
they
still
would.
like a KYC.
Because I agree,
has
that's
to
a
be.
gaping hole. Like that's just a
That'd be, like,
clear
dumb of
attack
them to miss
vector.
that, right?
Like
Yeah, they're already paying a lot of money to get verified accounts, so clearly they back out on the bottom line there. And I'm guessing they pay a lot more than $8 for them.
That would be an easy. Okay, so that would be an easier fix. I agree with you. I was just under the assumption that it was just like if you pay $8, you
Me
get the blue
too.
check.
Yeah.
Like,
My understanding, I don't know if anybody knows exactly what the plan is at this point, so we're all kind of talking out of our ass. But
Right.
like, I'm pretty sure he's mentioned it's a if you're a verified
You're a
person.
company, you're a person.
get verified.
Yeah.
yeah, like I don't know if anonymous accounts are going to be able to use this
No.
feature.
No, not at all.
Um,
Yeah.
and-
That would be dumb.
But for people who do get verified, it makes sense if you're trying to build.
So what about like pseudonymous accounts? Like guy like Punk 6529 is 6529
Unless
verifiably.
that we don't know, right? But unless that person wants to prove their identity behind the scenes, that could be one way.
Interesting.
Like stay pseudonymous to the public, but verify yourself to Twitter.
Yeah,
it's
and
the only
Can we
way
do
that
some,
would
like,
work.
Zero knowledge proofs on this or something.
Yeah,
We can
I
verify
definitely
your
sign a
person,
message.
and then nobody actually.
I wish I
knows
would have
as
gone
your-
to any of like Evan McMullen's speeches. I have no idea how that like verified credential works, but
Well, we'll get Evan on to explain.
I think this is part of his way to kind of solve the spam bots a little bit, because like if you're verified, you show up at the top of comments above non-verified, which is going to be an interesting dynamic at play.
right.
Well, it also just puts like a much larger cost in like running a bot army.
Agreed.
Like right now, you can just like run some scripts and just spin up thousands of accounts, and it's like the reason why like there's so much spam on like Solana and Polygon, but there's not like tons of spam on ETH because there's just such like a cost to doing these transactions. So yeah, you put in some friction with the verification process, and then you also put like a financial hurdle. And it's got to chop that activity down by a lot. And I'm also sure that he could. I'm sure his engineers could eliminate 90% of the bot spam if they actually worked on the problem. It does not take rocket science. Like I don't understand how hard it is to do an algorithm that like filters for like if these accounts all use the same profile picture and have the same words in their thing, and they copy and they come create it out of thin air and clone somebody's posts. Like how hard is that algorithm to write?
Yeah.
It's just always felt to me as a Twitter user like that the business is just terrible, and the people who work there. I don't want to disparage all the people who work there, but it like seems like a business that had no imagination. Like for
Yes,
years, the only thing
exactly.
they could come up with is this like Twitter Blue thing. All these users, and it just boggles the mind. In
was a
addition to the
joke.
fact that they've been actively ruining their user base with the bots. It's so bad in the finance world. Maybe it's not like this.
Bloated corporation,
on
man.
politics Twitter, but like in crypto Twitter, it's absolutely insane.
I think
Yeah.
you could argue it's even worse on politics Twitter if you think about like foreign actors using hundreds of thousands of bots to literally move a particular narrative, to
Steven,
and fro.
did you ever try to like get the bot engagement? You just say like MetaMask, seed phrase, like
Which
I never
which
wanted to bring that
NFT
flag
project
upon
should I
myself.
should I invest in? And just like everyone just dumps in. Yeah, but I do hope that stuff goes away. And it looks like he's trying to move some things. He's trying to sprint towards some very easy, or not easy wins, but some tangible wins that everyone can latch onto. Which is one, this Twitter Blue, and then second, the spam, and then hopefully he could take a break and like be more strategic about everything moving forward. But I think he's smart to try to tackle those
First 90 days, Nick. This guy's
Yeah.
smart, man. He knows he has boss. He has a boss.
So he's kind of assembled like a transition team of his buds
Yep.
and a bunch of Tesla employees. It must be fun to be in that transition team. Like you're probably not getting paid for it, but like you get to kind of work with something with tens of millions of monthly active users to like really rethink the thing from scratch. It would be really fun to be a part of that. It's probably a lot of work. I don't know how Tesla engineers are actually like auditing code, by the way. Like
Right.
AI
Yeah,
code
does
is a
that-
different programming language
does
than
that
like
scale?
Scala,
Like, does
which
that-
is like what Twitter mostly uses. So who knows? But either way, it's probably a real fun time to be in there and mix it up.
Yeah. So I'm curious what you guys think about like some of the censorship now.
Yes, let's get into that.
So like one random example is like, so first of all, in my opinion, like very bloated corporation, slow moving, accomplished very little, came up with the dumbest way to monetize, like $3 a month for Twitter Blue. Really hasn't accomplished anything in a long time. Now they're going to come in, and the vision behind this acquisition was to provide a public square, right? That is a duty and responsibility he feels that he's able to provide, which is, I think, a very beautiful and noble thing. If you buy it, I buy it.
Yeah.
I don't buy that that's the entire motivation. I buy that that's part of the motivation. Sure. I don't buy that he doesn't care about money because he doesn't want to lose, because of course. So he still needs to make money. But I do believe that if this becomes an app that is beyond just what Twitter has been and allows for people to speak openly, but also introduces payments, moves to the blockchain, a lot of these things are going to be really interesting. So then comes the conversation of like, free speech, censorship. One really funny example is like Ayatollah Khamenei is on this platform, but Donald Trump or Kanye West is not. And there's so many of these examples of like atrocious human beings
Not for
that,
now. Not for now. I
that
mean,
murder.
Trump's coming back in like 3 weeks.
You
Well,
can
I'm-
literally kill Jews. You just can't
Yeah,
talk
you
about
can
them.
literally do it. Exactly.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah,
that
I mean,
is
that's a
the
good point.
atrocity. You can hang gay people, but you can't talk about.
Can't dead name somebody.
Yes.
Can't call somebody
So
by the wrong gender, but you can throw
For
them off
now, but
buildings
like
and
I think
stuff.
Trump's coming back in 3 weeks.
what is this 3 weeks?
Well, that was the time frame that Elon has
He
expressly.
said that he said nobody's coming back until his like committee assembles, right? Isn't that his
but the
latest
idea
update on
is
it?
that he's going to bring back the people that were banned.
I'm sure he'll bring them back. Yeah.
So I
So
think,
how does this play out? Does it just become some fucking madhouse
well, I
of
think
like people just being racist and
I'm not
abusive?
I'm not
or-
so concerned about that. Like one thing that stood out to me was like I think you retweeted it. The White House tweeted something that said like, "Hey, we just gave the biggest like Social Security payment
Oh my
in,
God.
in history,"
Oh,
and then
so
that post from the White House got fact checked.
Oh, yeah.
and it said,
context was added to it.
yeah, context was added to it. I don't know how that was performed. Like who added the content? Was that
But the
like
context
user
was
generated or?
Spot on. I
It's
think
Twitter
it is.
generated.
I think it's user generated, right? I think like you can add.
It's like
people can
Wikipedia
add
style,
context to
like
tweets and stuff.
is it like
that.
Wikipedia style where anyone can sort of like add context down below? Because that post was fact checked to say like, well, back in the Nixon era, we decided to scale Social Security payments to inflation, and now because we have record inflation, that's why.
And let's just be intellectually honest here. We talked about fact checking in previous episodes, and we did not like it. But like here, it kind of like aligns with our
And the White House ended up deleting that post because
Right,
they
'cause
got
they-
owned so hard.
Yeah, like
Really?
Yeah.
obviously being somewhat hypocritical just because we just feel so good to have these people like actually not be able to run wild and just say and like have just complete control of everything. And it's no secret that Twitter is this sort of like elite, like liberal sort of crowd in terms of like who can do what they want on it and who runs it. And
All these
everything.
platforms have been.
Every platform
This
is.
is the winning. This is the feeling of winning. This is like, oh, maybe we can tip the scale possibly in a more like create some equilibrium here, right? Because it's all been.
Do you believe
owned
that's
by the
why
left.
everyone is like hating Elon? Like
All the left is
left
for
hates
sure. Like
Elon?
if you're someone like, let's just say Andrew Tate, you're looking at this situation and he keeps referring to, I just watched this Andrew Tate video this morning, I think I was saying in the chat, Steve, this morning. And it's like his new belief is that he's like, they're going to kill him.
Was he also banned from Twitter? Andrew
He was
Tate?
banned. He was blacklisted from the
all of them.
world,
From
from
all of them.
operating as a human being. They literally blacklisted this human being. Who's they? The interviewer was asking, right? And it became this interesting discussion. Actually, it was difficult to disagree with anything he was saying as much as the media and social media has made me out to hate him. Like, forget all the misogyny, forget all that stuff. It was a conversation about like who's controlling the narrative of the world in social media. That's what I'm looking at specifically. And everything that he said was really fascinating and interesting. And when you look at what's happening with Twitter going private, this just feels like, okay, maybe we can make it so that there isn't one group of people running the narrative of the world. And that gives me a little hope, especially going into some of the crazy shit we're going to see with 2024 election.
What do you guys think about this idea of it's one of the arguments that I've kind of attached to when it comes to censorship, which is potentially using the First Amendment as like a guideline for free speech,
Like the law itself.
Yeah, the law itself, and I'm not convinced that it works yet, but like I do like it as like a first principles baseline of like what to ban and what to not.
Why
because-
aren't you convinced that it works yet? This is what I've always said.
Well, like if you apply the U.S. law globally, there's issues there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
okay.
one, but like maybe use it as a guideline, not like law. But like
Okay.
I was looking up types of speech that's not protected, and there's ideas like obscenity, defamation, including libel or slander. And real quick on that, like Twitter is like 30% of Twitter is libel and slander.
Full of that, yeah.
Obviously, child pornography. There's some forms of like perjury and blackmail. Obviously, incitement to imminent lawless action or with clear and present danger. True threats, solicitation to commit crimes, even like incitement of suicide is like not protected.
Does that law apply equally to like actual like produced content as it does to like a forum, or are those two laws different? Like a forum is held to a different standard than to like a periodical?
Maybe I just don't think it's actually enforced because a lot of the law is actually not written in the First Amendment. It's actually in case law. Like all this has been like finalized in actual court cases, and then that's kind of the precedence for establishing when the next case comes up. So it's not like in a specific law. So I know none of us are lawyers. We don't really know like how this would play out, but it does seem like a good way. Maybe some of these things you use to use rules as to censor and to ban or temporarily ban. I don't think I believe in permanent bans. I believe in like temporary bans. And does that work? And then some areas where like let's say libel and slander, where it's all over, like actually let the courts like figure that out. Like in the case of libel and slander, if someone really feels like they're economically harmed, let them actually take that to the court
Their
and
own
decide.
action.
And then some of these, Twitter should use. And if a case that regarding any of these like types of speech that's not protected went to court, it had to be adjudicated by a judge. And so at first I was like, when I saw Elon's thing about having a group of people decide, I was like, wait, that's your idea? Like Zuckerberg tried that. It doesn't.
Yeah, I was going to say, isn't that what Facebook did?
It doesn't really work. But if
Or
it was
does?
done in the context of like, I don't know, maybe you had some retired judges from Republican and Democrat and like let them somewhat adjudicate it. I don't know. That's where it gets sloppy because like it is a bunch of case law. It's not one law that's easy to follow and
Right.
make decisions on. But could it work? Could it serve? Do you guys think this could serve as like a a base layer start to informing some kind of
Doesn't sound
policy.
like it scales at all.
it would have to scale through
Like, how does it
using case law. Like,
But how does like a tweet eventually get to your sort of like Supreme Court of Twitter? You
It's
know, like
flagged.
it gets flagged enough that it rises to that level
but then again,
of
if it's
hierarchy?
been flagged enough by that metric, it's already been seen.
Yeah, it's already
done the damage. Like if someone said we should kill Jews,
But
or
then
something.
also, I think it's already like it reaches that level that they're just gonna ban it. You know, like if it gets to that point, then they're just like, okay, well, this flagged too much.
I mean,
gone.
I'm sure there's some like base level keyword based algorithm based like thing. You know, like Facebook, Google do this with ads very well.
I think you're asking
you
a
know?
question, but we should take a step back. What are we trying to prevent? Are we trying to prevent people seeing something? Are we trying to prevent minds changing? Are we trying to prevent
Right.
someone's feelings being hurt? Are we trying to prevent racism existing as a whole ever?
It's like a
You know,
spectrum between
huge.
misinformation and free speech that
Yeah.
you're constantly waffling between allowing.
This seems like pretty simple to me. Maybe I'm oversimplifying it. I do that a lot. I feel like there's like sort of two types of speech. There's speech that's like illegal, and then there's speech that like you don't like or can cause some other harm, and it's like subjective.
Right.
I think that you have to just dial the filters way the hell back so that they basically only grab like the egregious stuff, right? Like right now we've got all this like hate speech stuff, which like I can't stand, but it's probably a whole topic for another episode, right?
But at least there's a law on hate speech. Like, I think let's go back to that White House post that was like just clearly not fully informative that they flagged. Like, that's not illegal, like what the White House said.
Yeah.
But that got flagged.
That's
But there's a difference
misinformation.
between flagging stuff and allowing for crowdsourcing of like information versus
true.
like kicking somebody off. And like if you're kicking somebody off for saying stuff that some person might say is hateful, but other people might just say is like mean or in poor taste, like that type of content, I think should just be like regulated by like some sort of like marketplace of algorithms. I think everybody in the future probably just uses some algorithm to get the Twitter thing that they want, and the algorithm provider can like filter out all that crap, right? Like, and what we really should care about is like speech that's like actually going to like really harm people. And I think the bar for that is like very, very high, and I think it should be very,
Yeah.
very high.
in your version, because like your opinion about COVID-19 could be considered by an algorithm to be like harming millions
Sure.
of people. So like that's where this gets you know
Right.
tough.
Yeah.
I do agree with you that your point that like the breadth should be expanded on like what we allow. Like, I agree with that. Like, allow more free speech. And what got me there was when Balaji was talking to Lex Friedman on his like 9-hour podcast. One thing that he mentioned, or they both mentioned, is that like all of our version of recorded history now, like in today's modern society, is like online. It's like it's on these social media platforms. So it's like if you remove somebody from social media, you're basically eliminating them from history. So it's a bigger deal than I gave credit
It's
to.
a huge deal,
it's a huge
especially when
deal.
it's like forever.
Right. That's
Doesn't make sense.
I kind of poo-pooed it for too
like a
long.
one
And it's like, wait
strike,
a second. It's like actually
you know?
huge.
Yeah,
like
it's
we've
pretty-
decided
pretty
you're
gnarly.
done. You know, it's pretty wild, especially like where it is today. Think of where it'll be in 5 years, in 10 years. It'll be even more important and integral to like everything that we do. How will you make payments and get on the train when Twitter has become WeChat and you're not on it and you've been blacklisted? So all of a sudden, is this China? Because that's what they do in China. They hurt you, your
China.
social score.
You get your social score exactly.
Yeah. So like that's scary. Like it's important to still have an identity. Like that should be a basic inalienable, and I always struggle with that word, inalienable human right, shouldn't it?
Inalienable.
I don't think you said it
Inalienable.
right.
You said it right the first time.
So like, yeah, I think it would be very detrimental to take someone off a platform unless they've really like developed, multiple strikes in the right direction. So if it was me and I was say in like Elon's shoes, I, for now, until we learn more and we see what happens, would remove this whole misinformation thing.
Yeah.
I would just completely eradicate that and leave that up to the individual user. I would remove any sort of like fact checking because all of that is complete bullshit and subjective. Where I would step up to the plate and draw a line is, yeah, I've always said what you suggested. There's some sort of bot mechanism, artificial intelligence that tracks what people are saying to make sure it's not egregious and illegal, and protected by the First Amendment. And in that case, all that would really happen is instead of the tweet going out automatically, it would be reviewed. The bot would flag
Just
it. It
go
would
for
be
the lower hanging
reviewed.
fruit
Go
first.
low hanging fruit,
Yeah.
but then does this the case law for the First Amendment is our society's way of adjudicating and deciding, is this allowable, is this protected or not? And it's the way we've been using it for a century plus. And can we essentially force the conversation to being about the platform to just being at a larger whole society? Like, what kind of speech do we want to allow, and kind of move the conversation on a platform level to just move it back to the method we've used? Like, should this be law? Like, should we change law to if people speak misinformation? And I do think that you can make some quick decisions about pornography, incitement to imminent lawless action, solicitation for crimes. Like, there are some really easy wins that you could probably pull from this, and there's some that are a little harder to adjudicate. But society has a way of working through this, and maybe you can defer to those that way of deciding.
So a lot of modern situations in these cases, case law, will be developed through social media now going forward, right? So do you think that this is more significant than we realize? Because I do. I think this is way bigger than just acquiring a social media platform. I think this is having a say in the future of law and humanity and what free speech actually is, how we define it. I think it's much bigger than we realize, because social media and the internet is reality, and it is only going to continue to be more and more important. So do you think we're underestimating this, and it's going to, a lot of future lawsuits are going to be really critical and will come out of Twitter?
For sure. I mean, there'll be libel, slander, other things that fall in these categories that
Right.
will be decided in law. And I would prefer I kind of prefer that that's the way these things get decided.
Has to be, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more of a fan of engineering these things sort of from the bottom up than trying to control them from the top down. I would just prefer to make the platform such that the users all just end up sort of self-segregating and opting in a free market sort of way into this platform that does all the things they want. And then all the people who are putting stuff out there that is truly vile and evil, sort of end up on their own little island. And it's almost better that way. I'd rather have them on there, on Twitter, but just isolated from everybody else's algorithms and sort of screaming into the void together. Because at least you know where they are, and you can kind of keep track of them. You can kind of see what's happening, and people can still come in once in a while if they're brave enough and be like, hey, that thing you said, this isn't right because of XYZ.
Just to go back to the White House example, that could have easily been, instead of being flagged by Twitter, it could have easily been a comment underneath that rose to the top saying the exact same thing, but it rises.
But they get that every time, and they don't delete those because they're like, well, our base saw this,
right?
Yeah.
And they are energized by it. But with that little disclaimer on there, it's like, oh shit.
I don't like that stuff, man.
Yeah,
I don't
I
like
believe me, I liked it when I saw it, but I think if you
because
if you
it was
scale that,
something on the other side.
But if you expand that to be is this the way forward? I don't know that I like that.
No, it's this bullshit eye for an eye forever thing.
Right.
It's
But
that could just be a version of the algo that you opt into. I want to use a version of Twitter where there's Wikipedia, decentralized sort of commentary
editing
attached to every single piece giving me context. And other people might say, I don't want that. I don't see any other way out of this other than to leave the whole thing as much sort of opt-in, free market, kind of there's a Twitter app store and you can just get all these add-ons and do.
What I would adjust, and I remember when Instagram did this, when they automatically opted you out of seeing things that they deemed offensive. What I hate about that is they made that decision for you instead of asking you up front.
Oh, that was the
I would
default.
love for people that are very sensitive to be able to choose to opt out of those things.
Elon has mentioned
up front
that
what experience do you want?
When TV shows started showing that thing at the beginning of each episode, a little rating,
TVMA thing.
so people knew what they were getting into. I think Twitter should be a default rated R.
Yeah.
But NC-17 maybe is like something you flip on that you personally want.
Right.
That's
But-
how it. I mean, that's how it is right now. You know, like there is some stuff like
I'm
you
seeing-
don't.
I'm seeing
like,
a
you
little
don't
too much
want, like, you don't
hentai
wanna have to
personally,
opt-
like-
yeah, you don't want to have to opt out of like
I would
seeing
like
like
to-
literal porn on your
I would like
Twitter
to
feed.
turn
Like,
off the
that
hentai
should be
if that's-
default off. I think most people.
Yeah,
would
you're right.
probably
That
agree with
rating
that.
system doesn't really scale to the issues we're talking about.
Yeah,
because,
like you're gonna end up in this gray
misinformation
area
is-
where it's like.
Well, then we're talking about the news, the feed again, and the algorithm, and like, you know, who's in charge of that. And I think that goes back to another thing Elon has said, which is like, this should be chronological. You should just be looking at your feed in order of who you follow.
We've talked
And-
about that. I'm a big fan of
You
chronological.
should have the right to choose that. Like this system is too powerful to be in the control of anybody, right?
Yes.
I'm not really comfortable with Elon controlling it in the long run.
Chronological makes
I
more
may like
sense.
it now because he's punching people in the face who I find annoying or something, but like he won't be here forever. Maybe he sells to somebody else. Maybe they do stuff that I don't like in the opposite direction. And then you're really like whenever you give like the gun to somebody and they have like the power to do all this stuff, they could just as easily go the other way. That's why I want these
Absolutely.
systems to be like as decentralized as possible. Ultimately, they're just like too powerful to be like under one person's control.
I'll add this, and maybe we can wrap with this a little bit. Is like I do kind of feel comfortable that Elon is in the seat of this because he's going to get political pressure from every side. He's going to get social pressure. I mean, he's already getting it, obviously. But I think he's somewhat used to it, being a
He's the
high
best.
profile.
He's the best at handling that pressure.
And I think that it helps that he's kind of post-economic, like he doesn't necessarily need the
Right.
money. But at the end of the day, he's got a lot of ego on the line that he placed a big bet. He got a lot of his buddies to place big bets on this deal. And I just hope that like he can kind of, stand strong in these like political and social wins when it comes to making these decisions, which are going to be excruciatingly tough. I mean, he
Yeah.
will be, I'm sure, called to Congress at some point over his decisions now.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So
We'll see how it unfolds. I think he's like the right guy for the job.
He's
for
a
now.
lunatic. He's a remarkable human being, and he's
Fucking
lunatic. The
masochist.
fact that, yeah, he is. He is. The fact that he's taking on this huge endeavor in addition to everything else that he's doing, it actually makes me question not his sanity, because that's clearly he's insane. Like he's clearly like not a normal functional human being. He's beyond off the charts, like his ability to contain information. Like I wake up stressed out because of multiple projects, like trying to balance those multiple projects that in my world are so big. Imagine the level of responsibility this man feels. And
God,
Steven's going to
that-
roll his eyes. In
No,
30
that actually helps
10
put it in
seconds.
perspective. Like all of our problems are so
They're
menial.
nothing, man. They're nothing. And this is still a human being. And I
Right.
just don't think he gets enough credit. I will always say that because I think that truly for a human being to accomplish what he's already accomplished and then to step up at this age and this point in his life, like I would be done. I'd be like, I'm happy. I've accomplished everything I've wanted to. He's like, I'm going to go change free speech and protect the public square. What the fuck?
Cool. Let's wrap there before Steven can respond.
Keep it on
I
a
was just gonna
decent
ask
high note.
Armand like how excited he would be if Elon named Jordan Peterson the director of like content oversight.
That's not a good job for Jordan
You would
Peterson.
just explode into a
That's not a
euphoria.
good job. Jordan Peterson's having a good time talking about
Be a
relationships,
supernova from
Beauty
his
and the
body.
Beast, psychology. That's not a job for Jordan Peterson. I did think I would just mention one thing that was really relevant, if that's okay. The poll that Elon did, if that's okay. Can
Yeah,
we wrap there?
which one?
So Elon did a poll. Should I bring back Vine? Yes or no? Because I think this will be really interesting to see how this evolves. 70% of people out of 5 million voted yes. So he did a poll. And then Mr. Beast replied. And he said, if you did that and actually competed with TikTok, that would be hilarious. So then Elon, and to me, this just shows me everything I need to know about Elon. I put this on my Instagram story and I was like, the smart entrepreneur then sees the opportunity to ask the GOAT content creator a question. And he says, hey, Mr. Beast, what could we do to make it better than TikTok? Mr. Beast says, no one is original anymore. Whatever you do will be on every platform the next month unless it has a deep moat. YouTube has shorts, Insta has reels, Reddit, Snapchat, Facebook, all copy TikTok. Whatever you do, make it hard to copy or it's a waste of time. I think that's absolute gold. So the question will become, what will, bless you, Nicholas,
I thought
will
I took nothing out of it. I obviously every business wants to create something that's like a deep moat that no one can copy. Like it will all be emulated. Anything that's created is going to be emulated.
Maybe.
Of course, it's your goal to create something that's like non-copyable.
Nah, I think Facebook's goal is to just rip everything off as directly as possible.
I read that when it happened on my feed, and I was like, okay, well, yeah, of course.
I think that there's absolute gold in there. That's huge. You're saying that it's impossible to create a moat?
I think it should be everyone's goal in any endeavor is to create something that is uniquely yours that can't be copied.
But
Like,
it hasn't been. They're all copying each other.
Yeah, I think it's like the most nonplussed type of advice ever given. It's like, yeah, just do something that no one else can do that you do better than everyone. It's like, okay, yeah,
I
of
totally
course.
disagree. I couldn't. He's telling him, don't do something that is easily repeatable.
Yeah, and guess what? Anything that you do that is freaking rad, everyone's gonna copy.
All right, this would be a whole episode right here.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Wait, I'll leave. Okay, can I make like one part
Yeah.
of crazy YOLO prediction? Trump wins the next election, gets chummy with Elon, then bans TikTok, and then people's heads actually explode.
Ooh, good one.
Wow.
I like that.
Yeah,
Damn.
well, TikTok banning, I think it makes a lot of sense. But yeah, I like that. I like that.
All right, that's a good place, Dad. So we just recorded culture before
Doing a little different this time.
money. So here comes Stephanie. Well,
She's not.
the
literally
people will
here,
be
right?
hearing it. Yeah,
Okay.
people will be hearing it after. So hope you enjoyed that. This order of operations is different. All right, guys, we'll see you in the live episode.
Good stuff.
Yes, very good stuff. Eric, I feel like we need to continue that conversation.
There's nothing else for me to say.
I know. That's become classic Eric at this point. Your sledgehammer.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's
He's like,
the
I'm
point.
done with that.
That's the point.
We're gonna get
And,
one of those like.
No, I
Oscar
want to
radio. We'll just
discuss.
start playing music.
I mean, it's like the goal of every business. Like.
All right, love you guys.
Bye.
Peace. Bye.